Hello everybody, and welcome back to HWH Season 8, where I got a second setup for this new stunt kit. Basically, it's another stunt box with a bunch of different pieces and such, but as I've mentioned earlier, there are these new compact kicker launchers, and so I'm going to see how these work compared to the one I currently own, which if you've seen my first episode from Season 7 last year, then you probably know that it was basically a remake of some older kicker launchers which didn't do too well. And I'd say, well, that one did probably a little better. I really want to find out at this point how do these compare to that or any of the others. We also can't forget the flipper pieces, which also double as connector bits for the straight track. And then we got ourselves the box. So, starting off strong with one of the compact kicker launchers. Can't get it uphill, so it gets to the top. And that's how it's going to be in this case. And yeah, that doesn't really work there, so at least I tried that idea. Another 16 cars have been picked out. So, if you can count this, plus the other 16 I had from the last round, that makes 32. And so, after a nice recharge set of batteries and stuff, I feel like I'm fully ready for this whole thing. So, let's get this on the tripod and let's get going. Now, let's see how we can do with this whole thing. I'm going to get started with a Zamek, known as the Volkswagen Soonagon, or Soonagon, pretty much. It's basically a remake of an old Volkswagen van. So, I got it set in the armed position and wow, that didn't work too well. Let's try this again, pretty much. Wow. I'm not so sure about this one, guys. But let's just do what we can here. Oh, okay, that one probably won't work as it got stuck in the flipper, so not really going to do too well. Next up, a recoloring of Altered Ego, pretty much. I kind of liked this model back then, and I'm sure that it might serve a purpose later on, much like how it did back then. Oh. Looks like the kicker is sort of causing it to shift upwards slightly, so let's keep trying. Oh. That time it flipped. So, let's try one more time. That spoiler must be causing a problem here. So, maybe that's not the best setup, ideally, for this kind of kicker launcher, but I'm just going to do what I can to get whatever models up here. Next up, we have ourselves a 1981 Camaro. Pretty much a reproduction issue of a classic 80s Camaro. Oh, it made it to 2 flippers. Let's just see if we can get it past 3. Well, a little consistency, but the goal is to get up here, not here. Oh, well. I don't know if I count that as a win, but I guess we'll just mark them right here based on what position of flipper they went through. Here's a really obscured model that I was able to get for a pretty good price. Firechaser. Came all the way out in the 1970s. So, let's see how it holds up almost 50 years later. Well, it flipped over, first off. Second, flipped over again. Not quite going to do too well here, right? Nope. That won't do very well here. The main goal is to get picked up by the spring action from this launcher. Not to get flipped over, pretty much. Wow, that's something, ain't it? For the record, though, this model in particular is the Celine S7. Another older model, though, not quite as old as Firechaser or the Volkswagen Soonagon. Wow. Okay. Let's try from behind. Wow, they made it a little further. So, oh boy, that's not going to do very good in the long run here. And so, let's just move on to another Trackstars motorcycle. Of course, you've seen a few of those in the last part, but I kind of wonder how it's going to handle a kicker launcher like this. Went through one flipper. Finally. Well, two flippers. Pretty much good the way it is. Here is another pretty old model. We have ourselves quite an interesting pick. But, you know, for the most part, it's not really about model identification here. It's more about the action that unfolds. Well, two flippers, much like the Trackstars moto I have here. Wow. Okay. Just having two flippers seems fine to me. Another 2023 new model, Group C Fantasy. Like it says, it's another fantasy model, but let's see how it does here. Oh, boy. Wasn't that a finish? This is exactly what we're looking for. Right up here. So, you'll see it at the corner, but time for a Torpedoes model that I got here. If you thought that bullet nose was pretty special, how about Slider? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to bring about these models and see what they can do. Ah, flipped again. Let's try going backwards. Ooh. I managed to briefly touch the third flipper right there. Can I do better than that? No, I guess not. But hey, 3 flippers, that's a pretty good win. 75 points. Though I'm not really doing a point system with this. I'm just seeing which ones can make it through this whole thing, using the kicker launcher's own momentum based on its swing. Now time for a drop top model, just simply called Drop Top. Yeah, not very creative. But this must be what started it all back then with the Drop Top series. Almost went through the second flipper there. Let's try it again. Oh, that didn't count. 3 flippers. Nice. Three flippers. Oh well. Here we have ourselves another Brick series model called Brickin' Delivery. Pretty much the bare equivalent to that of Hot Wheels and Lego. All combined together. So let's see how well it does. Well, not quite good there. Try again. Keeps flipping over, and only 1 flipper. That might be what counts for 1 flipper by my book. Next up, the Dodge Murata. I tell ya, this one's another very obscured model out there. Made in Hong Kong, pretty much. Quite a rare example of one of those models. Yeah. Getting a lot of flip overs today, unfortunately. Ah, there we go. That's a lot better. Okay. Let's just end it off on that. 2 flippers, better than 0, pretty much. That's weird. Only 1 flipper, pretty much. But you know, 3rd time's a charm, right? Well, I guess not. Now, I'm pretty sure that since Group C Fantasy is successful, some of the rest that I have here should prove to be more of the same. But hey, Speed Seeker is what's up next. Huh. Why did they keep flipping? Well, I guess we'll never know about that, but I do know 2 flippers. That's a pretty good way to go, but not quite enough to pass, unlike this. Now, time for another, wow, blastuous this one is known as opposed to slider. I'm pretty sure that with these Torpedoes models, they might not work in boosters. Wow. Okay, negligent discharge. This time it's for real. Oh man. Second time now. Well, down to the last one here. Another new for 2023 model known as Dragon Wagon. Wow. That's the farthest it's gone, so 2 flippers. There you are. With that, only 2 models made it. Okay, well, that surely isn't really a good thing, but hey, I was able to set up a good system here with a kicker launcher as a starting point. I feel like maybe the better position to leave it in is to have straight track on this end and this end, instead of just having it on one end like this. So I suppose that's a good lesson to learn here. Still, all these models, they've pretty much performed in different ways, which, unlike the last part, just shows there's a lot more to it than just going from point A to point B. Still though, some were successful. That's the end goal for these episodes. And so with the next one, the third and final part to this unique intro to Season 8, I sure hope that we can make it happen and make it even better than this or the last time. So be sure to stick around to that very point.
You have some love showing your faces. It had been so long, I thought you disappeared.